Malaysian Borneo is well renowned for its spectacular wildlife and nature, and one of the most accessible places to experience it is Bako National Park. Just 1 hour away from Sarawak's capital Kuching, this small but diverse nature reserve is full of thick tropical rainforests, hidden beaches, mangroves and dramatic rock faces. It's also home to some of Borneo's most amazing animals, like the elusive proboscis monkey, making the park ideal for nature lovers. I'm the Curious Sparrow, and here's everything you need to know about visiting Bako National Park and whether it's worth staying overnight or not. Before visiting Bako National Park, my husband and I had been on an amazing 3-day trip on the Kinabatangan River in Sabah, spotting exotic wild animals and enjoying spectacular nature. However, a lot of our time by the river was spent sitting down in boats, so we were excited to get the chance to hike through Bako and see a different side of Borneo. It's a really peaceful and rugged national park, and the fact that it's less than an hour from Kuching is a massive plus. To get to the park entrance, we first needed to get to Bako Village Jetty, which is around a 30-minute drive from Kuching. The best way to get there is by Grab, but you can also get the Q09 bus from Kuching Centre, but it's much slower. To get back to Kuching, I suggest pre-booking a Grab or getting the local bus. Anyway, back to our journey to Bako National Park. We had pre-booked our boat tickets online and assumed we could just get on the first available boat, but we actually had to wait for 3 more people because the boats only leave with 5 passengers. Once we had all paid our 20 ringgit entrance fee, we headed off to the park. The 20-minute journey was a nice way to start the trip, whizzing us past rustic fishing villages, cool cliff faces and thick jungle. Once we arrived, we registered at the headquarters and dumped our bags at reception because we couldn't check into our room until 2 p.m. We did a little bit of exploring around the headquarters, said hello to the funny bearded pigs that were roaming around, and strolled out onto the beach to take in the views. Then it was time for our first hike. There are 9 marked trails to choose from in this area, with each varying in difficulty and duration, as well as the different types of environment they pass through. One of the most popular trails for day trippers is the Lintang Trail, but it was closed for maintenance during our visit. I'll be honest though, at roughly 4 hours round trip, and apparently quite challenging in places, I'm not too sad we didn't do it. Instead, we chose to do trails number 1 and 2 on our first day. Trail number 1 was listed as moderately difficult, and I think that's a fair assessment. While there were a few steep slopes and rickety wooden staircases along the route, it wasn't too bad overall, and I'm not exactly a mountaineer. The main obstacle was the humidity, with my husband and I dripping with sweat quite early into the hike. So sweaty and so gross. Be careful about those spiky plants too. I know from experience how painful they can be. Overall, it was a decent hike, taking us through thick jungle and to a nice viewpoint at the end. We were the only ones there, so we could listen to the insects and the sound of the jungle around us. It took us around 90 minutes in total, which included some rests at the viewpoint and a few stops to squeeze out the sweat from our clothes. Trail number 2 by comparison was a lot easier, with more flat areas along the route which suited me just fine. It was a bit confusing at the start because the signposts were spaced out at times, so we weren't always sure we were going in the right direction. Like trail number 1, this hike was around 90 minutes and it took us through the jungle and up steep staircases made from twisting tree roots. It was all very Jumanji. This time though, we emerged onto a beach flanked by mangroves. This spot was incredibly scenic, with lizards crawling around and funny little mud skippers flopping about in the shallows. The water looked very inviting too, but the signs warning us about crocodiles put us off a bit. Overall, we enjoyed our first 2 hikes and liked the scenery, but we were a little disappointed that we didn't see much wildlife. We did have more luck with wildlife during our stay, but I'll get onto that later. Before each hike, you'll need to sign in at the headquarters for safety reasons. Be sure to bring plenty of water with you and decent footwear with good grip, as some of the paths can be a bit hazardous. In between our hikes, we stopped off at the on-site restaurant for some well-needed fuel. The food served here was surprisingly decent. Not amazing, but certainly tasty. At lunchtime, there was a kind of buffet where you pay by the spoonful or per item. There was lots to choose from, including rice, noodles, fish, chicken, a few side dishes, eggs and other bits and bobs. Dinner was better in my opinion because we could choose from a menu. My husband got a nice filling Indonesian noodle dish with fried chicken, and I got a Sarawak laksa. After finishing our second hike, it was time for us to check into our accommodation. There are several room types available, including lodges with air conditioning. We booked a 4-bedroom hostel with a fan, but paid for the whole room, as our days of sharing with strangers are long gone. Now, we weren't expecting a whole lot from the room, but it actually wasn't bad. The room was basic, but it was clean, the beds were reasonably comfortable, and the fan did its job. And for just 40 ringgit for the whole room, we thought it was a great price. The shared toilets were also better than expected, with clean sinks and showers and plenty of toilet rolls. You can find all the information about the park's accommodation on my website. I've linked to it in the description box below. After we had checked in and changed into drier clothes, we went for a stroll around the headquarter grounds. Funnily enough, this is where we had some of our best animal sightings. As soon as we left our room, we saw a lone male proboscis monkey walking around. Sadly, he vanished into the tree quickly, but we managed to spot him again on the beach a little while later. I wasn't quick enough to get him on film, but I got a picture of him. We had seen lots of them elsewhere in Borneo, so we weren't too disappointed if we didn't see them here. We also had a fun little run-in with a silver langur close to the beach. We stood there watching him for quite a while he ignored us and went about his day. His cute little mannerisms and facial expressions were so human at times, and I just wanted to scoop him up. While we enjoyed this interaction, I must admit we were slightly disappointed that we didn't see more animals during our hike. But that's all part and parcel with a nature reserve. They aren't zoos after all. If you go to Bako expecting to see certain animals, you may be disappointed. If this is a top priority for you, I suggest hiring a local guide to take you around during the day, or staying overnight like we did so you can join the guided night walk. After admiring the silver langur, we went on a nice walk along the main beach. It was completely empty at this time, as the day trippers had all gone back to Kuching, leaving us alone to enjoy the peace and quiet. There are some amazing rock formation and cliff faces here that have been transformed by millions of years of erosion. If you're a geology nerd, you will love it. We also bumped into some cute baby bearded pigs that were scurrying around behind their mum. Once the sun had gone down, we joined the guided night walk. This is one of the main reasons to stay overnight, as you'll get the chance to see some wildlife you wouldn't see during the day. During our walk, we watched fireflies twinkling in the dark, saw some scary looking scorpions, cute little snakes dangling from tree branches, some really interesting looking stick insects, tiny little frogs, and plenty of other creepy crawlies. There were even some crabs chilling out on plants. Apparently they climb up there to escape from predators, which I had never heard of before. The walk lasted around 1.5 hours and cost only 20 ringgit per person, that we thought was great value for money. Without the guides, I honestly don't think I would have spotted any of these animals myself. The next morning, after a filling breakfast of fried rice and noodles, we did one last hike before we went back to the jetty. This time it's trail number 4 and it was our favourite. The scenery through the jungle was really cool, with massive boulders along the paths and narrow caves. It was again a moderate hike, so not too challenging, but there were a few slightly difficult spots that involved clambering over big rocks. The main reason we chose this route is because it ended at a gorgeous secluded beach. Surrounded by jungle, with tree-covered cliffs and waves crashing in, it felt like we found a hidden island. If the water didn't potentially have crocodiles in it, waiting to rip us to shreds, it would have been perfect. After chilling on the beach for a little while, we headed back along the trail to collect our bags from reception and meet our boat driver at the pier. On the way back to the jetty, he gave us a little tour, slowing down to see if he could spot any proboscis monkeys in the mangroves, and telling us about the fishing villages we passed. So, the big question, is it worth staying overnight at Bako National Park? I'd say yes, absolutely. While a day trip is perfectly possible, especially if you plan to do just 1 or 2 hikes, it will most likely feel a bit hurried, because the last boats go back to Kuching at 3 PM. Staying overnight gives you the chance to do more hikes, including the really long ones that take hours and hours, and increases your chances of spotting exotic animals. You'll probably have whole parts of the park all to yourself like we did, and can watch the sunset and go on the guided night walk. Overall, staying overnight gives you more flexibility and a more relaxed, leisurely time in Bako National Park. I hope this video has answered all your questions about Bako. If not, please leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them.